Hello all, we are here for one more lesson of this AutoCAD 2016 training course, and the lesson today is going to be about tracking vector. So when we are drawing, we have a couple of functionalities to help us finding points, distance and angles. I will draw a couple of lines, and what happened it is I have a couple of helps, and the first one it is around here, polar tracking, that I can turn on with the F10 key in my keyboard, and I have another one here that is called object snap tracking, that again I can turn it on with the F11, or in both cases to click in these icons. So if I click in this arrow, settings, and now I open this dialog box, and I have this F10, the polar tracking, on in this tab, and the object snap on the one that is on the right. So what can I do with this polar tracking? I can define increment angles every 5, 10, 15, 18 and whatever degrees, so I leave 30, and I can add some additional angles. So I have the angle 10, the angle 12 and the angle 40. These are angles which my system will detect. Okay. Besides, I can use this functionality here that says track orthogonally only, or track using all polar angle settings, and that refers here. Okay. And last, I can use this in absolute mode or relative to last segment. So let us see what can we do here. If I click and now I go to make a line, you see my cursor stops first on the 0 degrees and on the 90, 180, 270, and this is the orthogonally. Okay. And again, in my dialog box, if I had this option here set on, so I will detect only these angles, but I will choose the next one, and on the next one I can detect the 0 again, now the 10, which was a special angle, a little more the 12, now every 30, so the 30, the 40, which was another special angle, and now 60, 90 and going on. So this is a functionality that allows me to detect automatically these angles. So when I have one of the directions highlighted, for example the 30, I have a first point clicked, and now if I say for example 70, the system will measure 70 units from the first point with this direction and click. Okay, and I can continue to use this. Okay, but if you see again, the 0 degrees are measured on the same position. Okay, the 0x angle to the right. But I have another difference here, and says polar angle measurement. So I have this in absolute mode, but I can put relative to last segment, and this will work on a different position. So I will choose, for example, now the 30 degrees, but now that I've put this relative to the last segment, so the last entity I draw will be now my 0 degrees, and all these settings will be according to this last segment. Okay, this is very interesting when we are dealing with angular entities or angular coordinate systems. So this is the polar tracking. Besides the polar tracking, we have another functionality called object snap tracking, And this command makes another very interesting thing, which is all of these functionalities we've seen, but now if I go to one particular point and I fly over that point and leave this cross, now you see the system detects all those functionalities from that point, and I can conjugate points from more than one of these temporary points. If I fly over this point again, I clean that point. But for example, I can say this point, leave this help, and now the system can consider the 0 degrees from that highlighted point, and I can say, for example, 50, which will be the distance from that highlighted point, okay? And then I can continue to draw. This is very useful. So these are the functionalities regarding polar tracking and object snap tracking or tracking vector. Another thing I would like to show you today, which complements this information, and it's another tool to your drawings, are the construction lines. And the construction line can be done coming to this draw menu. I have this functionality here, construction line, and now you have a couple of options in this toolbar and the command line, which are very easy to understand. First, horizontal, just click a point, okay, and it will make a line horizontal. And these construction lines have the particularity to be infinite, so from one point to the other. So I can do more. The vertical, it is easy to understand what it does. The angular, and this angular you can say, for example, 45 degrees and say through this point here. The offset, which allow you to give, for example, 100, choose one line to this side and will make 100 millimeters offset to another entity. Or if it is offset, I can say the distance or just saying through, okay? Through will allow you to make this offset line through a point. Last, it is, let me create a couple of these lines, and we can create, let me turn this off, and we can create a bisectrous line, just saying the angular vertex point, first point of the angle and the second one, and the system will create a line that makes middle angle of these two lines you've defined with the 3 points, okay? So these are the commands I would like to show you in this lesson. I hope that these topics were clear and help you to understand these topics.